The big point I made about Paul's songs on the White Album is that he tended to look back, looking at other styles, mostly previous styles, but sometimes contemporary styles. As we turn to the songs of John Lennon, we don't see much of that. That doesn't seem to be where John is going. And so this is one of the valuable things about being able to think of these Beatles songs as being written by Paul or by John or by George, where we can begin to see the places not only where they overlap and do similar kinds of things, but also the places where there's a real divergence. And I would say in 1968, this White Album period, in many ways, while there are some interesting parallels between the two, there's a lot more space between what John and Paul are doing than there has been maybe up to this point. They really are sort of finding their own voices relatively independent of one another. So I'm going to talk about these songs with regard to the songs that are based on phrases of others. That is, taking sort of found objects, as we've seen on previous John songs. We'll talk about some of those. We'll talk about songs that refer to the stay in India, of which there are much more with John than there are of Paul. And then we'll talk about the other songs that don't cleanly fit into those other categories. So remembering we've got a lot of songs to work through here, and I'm going to look at 3 of them in a song close-up in the next video. So I won't say too much about those and move through them very quickly. In fact, one of those is the first one that's based on phrases of others, and that's "Happiness is a warm a gun." The phrase of others that it refers to is a magazine ad or a magazine cover. It's not really clear exactly what the magazine was, but John saw something about an ad for a gun. Some people have said it was an NRA ad, "Happiness is a warm gun." And so there's an idea for a song. And so it comes from that. It's an episodic form, and that's what's in many ways really interesting about it. We'll get to that in the song close-up in the next video. Julia is another one that we'll look at in more detail in a song close-up. And just in terms of tying it in with this idea of based on the phrases of others, it's inspired from a line from Khalil Gibran. Those of you who are about my age may remember the poetry collection The Prophet. I don't know what it was like in the country where you lived, but in the United States, every high school kid had a copy of The Prophet, and you gave it to your girlfriend as a gift, this kind of thing. It was considered, you showed that you were sensitive and you cared about poetry. So really sort of popular kind of hippie counterculture youth kind of thing, not unlike Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha or A Journey to the East or something like this. Anyway, John saw a phrase and it kind of triggered him off, and this song Julia came out of it. And then